Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Amie How I'd Art. I'm Amie and today I have an art advice video for you. So today's art advice is actually more of an art story, and I'm going to explain to you guys how I became an artist. So how I went from when I very first began to now. Now this is a very requested topic. I get a lot of comments asking how I actually sort of built my business and how I sort of got into doing what I actually do. So I'm going to start off at the very beginning. So I started in 2012. I hadn't picked up any kind of art material or anything since I left school. So it'd been about 4 or 5 years since I've actually sort of done any kind of art, and I decided that I was going to start oil painting. And this was a bit of a big sort of stretch. I had been looking online and I'd seen some of Jason Morgan's on his blog. He used to post a little snippet of his paintings and a few sort of tutorials and sort of techniques that he would do with his oil painting, and I was really inspired by that and I just wanted to give it a go. So I decided to buy myself all of the equipment. I bought oil paints, I bought everything that I needed, and I started to paint. I soon found out just how difficult oil painting was, and it wasn't the kind of medium for me. I wasn't getting the results that I kind of expected and wanted to get. I just wasn't sort of able to put what was going on in my head down onto my canvas. So then I decided to try some watercolors, and this is where I started to do my really early watercolor work. They were sort of expressive bird watercolors. I'd just be a little bit loose with the paint. I'd do the kind of splatter and everything, which I usually do on my watercolor pieces. They were a little bit of fun and I really enjoyed to do those, and it was completely different from those oil paintings. So I'd moved from sort of trying to get really controlled, detailed oil paintings to really expressive watercolors, and I found that was a really good exercise for me. I started a Facebook page. I actually started it when I did the oil paintings, but when I started to do those watercolors, that's when my sort of following and page really started to grow and build. When I started posting the watercolors, I started to get really good feedback from my followers. People were really enjoying these really expressive pieces. I think it was because I was enjoying it myself. I wasn't really enjoying the oil paintings. They were so frustrating, they took so long, but the watercolors I was just able to just throw the paint onto the paper and really enjoy it, and I think that was coming across in the work and the way that I was presenting it, and people were really liking it, and I was starting to build a really strong following from posting those. When I started my Facebook page, I actually joined a few art communities and creative communities, different groups and different pages that sort of promoted and shared your work on Facebook. So one of those was Clearly Crafty Community, and that really helped boost my work. People that were sort of like-minded, that really enjoyed creativity and a great creative process and that kind of thing. When you posted your work and other people's work on there, you would get a little boost in followings. So by joining those communities, I was able to sort of boost my page, and I also formed some really strong friendships from posting in those communities as well. So whilst I was sort of building my fan base and everything with the watercolour work, I stumbled upon Alan Woollett, who I really admire. He does some really fantastic coloured pencil pieces, and I was really inspired to do some coloured pencil work. So what I decided to do was purchase some coloured pencils and start to do animal studies. So I was moving again in completely a different direction from the watercolours. I was going from really sort of free and expressive and trying to be more controlled and detailed again, and that's kind of what my brain likes. It really likes detail. It likes to try and create photorealism as best as it can. Sometimes it doesn't quite get there, but it's trying. That's what I really enjoy. That's what my brain enjoys doing. That's just what I love. So I decided to pick up those coloured pencils, trying to kind of mimic what Alan Woollett was doing, just trying to develop a few techniques. Now when I first started coloured pencil, I did sort of ask a few other coloured pencil artists, like, what do you do? How do you do this? But I didn't really get very much reply. and that was kind of disheartening because I kind of felt like a little bit looked down upon, and there wasn't really much help out there when I was first starting to do coloured pencil work. Nowadays there is an abundance of coloured pencil resources and sort of people willing to help you, and that's what I'm going to talk about later as to why I do what I do now. So when I started doing some coloured pencil work, I initially didn't have any commissions and was just sort of drawing for fun. I was doing some chickens, some lambs, some birds, so I was sort of carrying on that watercolour theme of doing watercolour birds with the coloured pencils, and I was starting to get a really positive feedback from that as well, and that's when I actually started to book my commissions. People were really loving the coloured pencil work, the attention to detail, that kind of thing, and I started to book a lot of commissions, and that's sort of where everything took off, is that transition from the watercolours into coloured pencil. That's when I started to get a lot of bookings, a lot of commissions, and that's when my fan base really started to grow, especially on Facebook. So I was getting a lot of commissions and doing really well on that kind of thing, and I decided that I wanted to try and start a YouTube channel. So this was about 2015 that I started my YouTube channel. I uploaded my very first videos, some of which I have actually taken down now because they are so cringeworthy, and I don't want the sort of really bad quality of those videos to reflect on my videos nowadays. So I've actually just sort of taken those down. So when I was making YouTube videos, I found a love for video editing and creating videos and just creating some really fun content. I was excited to be able to post on YouTube and start to grow a community on there. So when I started YouTube, everything was growing really slowly. It took me a long time to get my first 100 subscribers, but when I did, I was so excited, and I decided to sort of carry on that love of video editing, and I stumbled across Patreon. Now, I first looked at Patreon in July of 2015, and I kind of wondered what I could actually do and how I could grow a fan base on that platform. And that's when it kind of hit me that when I first started out, there weren't very many resources, there wasn't very much help around for people starting with a coloured pencil. Now at this point I had been doing some coloured pencil work for 2 and a bit years, so I kind of felt a little bit experienced and I kind of wanted to impart my knowledge. So I decided on Patreon that I was going to set up a base where people could learn coloured pencil and learn the techniques and have the resources available to them that I didn't have. So that's the reason why I started Patreon and why I started to create tutorial content, because I wanted to help people, I wanted to help people's skills grow, I wanted to expand my knowledge of coloured pencil and help other people discover coloured pencil. I think it's a really great medium. It is one of the best that you can find, in my opinion. So I just really wanted to sort of spread the love and spread the word of coloured pencil to a lot of people. Whilst I was recording tutorials and setting up Patreon and doing YouTube, I found that I really loved the teaching format. So I really loved imparting my knowledge, imparting what I had learned, what didn't work and what did work. I loved kind of teaching people that and getting the feedback, and I was getting a lot of feedback from people saying, this is amazing, thank you so much, this wasn't available to me. And I love getting that feedback. It might be a little bit sort of egocentric maybe, but I love that kind of feedback. That is what drives me, that's what makes me want to create, just getting that feedback of knowing that I have helped someone develop their skill, develop their understanding, and just basically helped them in any way possible. I love getting that feedback, so I decided that this is where I wanted to go. I wanted to do Patreon, I wanted to build that fan base, I wanted to do tutorials, I wanted to build my YouTube fan base and build that aspect rather than do the commission side of everything. So Patreon and YouTube were starting to do quite well, and this is kind of a little bit of a turning point as well, because I fell pregnant with James in October 2016, and I was kind of thinking this is going to be a little bit of a setback. This isn't going to help my sort of art job. This isn't going to help my dream of what I want to do, and that was to be self-employed, to do art and to teach people full-time. I thought that this was going to be one of the worst things that could happen to my art career. Not personally, because I love James, he is my life, but for my art career I was a little bit scared because I didn't want to lose that following and everything that I had built up to that point. But I carried on with Patreon, carried on with YouTube up until the point that James was born, and that's when it kind of hit me that this is actually what I want to do. This is what I want to do every day. I want to sit down, I want to stay at home, I want to look after James, I want to be able to provide for him doing what I love. That's when I kind of upped my game. So James was born in June last year, 2017, and I had a couple months off. I had pre-recorded a whole bunch of content, so everything was kind of set up and sort of still working for me. But during those 2 months, I was kind of thinking to myself, how am I going to step this up? How am I going to develop this side of my career? How am I going to make it grow so that I can provide a stable financial income for my family and my half of the sort of bills and everything to pay the mortgage? How was I going to be able to work and look after James and sort of combine it all and make it work and make it successful? So I was kind of thinking in those 2 months off of ways to do that, and I kind of got back into YouTube and Patreon full time again in October 2017, and since then everything has just sort of taken off. Patreon has grown almost 3 times the number of patrons and the amount of income that I was earning since then. And it's been, what, 6, 7, 8 months since then? Everything has sort of taken off. I really dedicated my time and all of my effort. I know in my head, or knew in my head, that this is what I want to do. I cannot fail at it. I am going to do it. I am going to be a self-employed artist or art tutor, whatever you want to call me. I call myself an artist, by the way. That is what I want to do full time. I want to be self-employed. I don't want to have to go back to a part-time or full-time job and hand James off to some kind of childcare. I do not want that to happen. So my full focus and my goal was to create a successful business from what I was doing, from teaching people, from YouTube, from Patreon, and just building my fan base and everything on all of my social media platforms. So this has kind of turned into a little bit of a rant, or I don't know, this is just something that I am really passionate about. I really wanted to share my story of coming from just starting with the odd oil painting and really sort of not knowing what I wanted to do, to really understanding and really having the drive and just really putting my time and effort into knowing what I wanted to do, knowing that art and being self-employed and being an artist and doing this is what I want to do. I'm just really passionate about it. It is something that I wake up every single day and I think, I cannot believe that I get to just sit around and create stuff and I can earn a decent living and a decent wage from it. It is just really, I'm just so passionate about it. It is unbelievable that I have actually managed to be able to provide this for myself, for James, to be able to provide my half of all of our bills, our mortgage and everything. It's just kind of astounding that I've actually managed to achieve it. So I've really sort of managed to balance my time between looking after James and then doing work. So the kind of take home that I want you guys to take from this is to follow your passion. Just be passionate about what you're doing, and if you want it enough, you need to put in the hard work and effort to be able to achieve it. So I knew that I wanted to do this. I've put in the hard work, I've got the passion behind it clearly, and I've managed to achieve it. So the kind of lesson behind this video is, it is possible to achieve what you want to achieve. You just need to have the passion, you need to have the drive, you need to have the focus to be able to achieve it, and you need to actually work hard. You need to work hard to be able to achieve your dreams. And the other kind of story that I want you to sort of take home is that it does take a long time. So You often hear of people who are just overnight successes, and that is like a 1 in a million chance of happening. So to get to where I am today, I still don't consider myself extremely successful, but I'm successful in comparison to how I was 6 years ago. And it's taken 6 years to develop my ideas, to develop my skill, to be able to get to where I am today. So it's not just 1 or 2 years, 1 or 2 months. It's not just going to happen like that. It's not going to happen overnight. It's taken me 6 years to get to where I am happy and where I'm actually comfortable with earning a good wage and being passionate, really passionate about what I do. So it's not going to happen to you guys overnight. Some of you it may do, and they are the most exceptional cases, but it does take a lot of hard work, drive and passion and time to get to where you want to be. So if anybody is sort of watching this and feeling as if they're a little bit failing, that they're not progressing, that it's taking a really long time, it does take a long time, but you are going to get there. You are going to reach your goals if you are dedicated to them. So that's pretty much what I wanted to convey with this story. It's just a little sort of look back into where I started from and where I am today and how I got there and what I did to kind of achieve what I have today. So I apologise if this video has been a little bit rambly or a little bit long for some people, but this is one of the most requested videos that you guys wanted me to create. So I really hope that me explaining my processes, what I've kind of done, where I started and everything, how I developed my ideas, I really hope that this has helped you guys if you are in the process of creating your own art business. And I hope that this time scale of how I've grown my business and what I've done will help you or has helped you. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you're new around here and you want to see more art advice videos and tutorials, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And there are some more great videos for you to check out just over there. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!